Hello friends, today we will learn about cell signaling. Cell signaling has been most extensively studied in the context of human diseases and signaling between cells of a single organisms. However, cell signaling may also occur between the cells of two different organisms. In many mammals, early embryo cells exchange signals with cells of the uterus. In the human gastrointestinal tract, bacteria exchange signals with each other and with human epithelial and immune system cells. For the yeast Saccharomyces cerevisiae, during mating, some cells send a peptide signal into their environment. The mating factor peptide may bind to a cell surface receptor on other yeast cells and induce them to prepare for mating. Receptors for cell moves. Cells receive information from their neighbors through a class of proteins known as receptors. Notch is a cell surface protein that are expressed on adjacent cells and functions as a receptor. Animals have a small set of genes that code for signaling proteins that interact specifically with Notch receptors and stimulate a response in cells that express Notch on their surface. Molecules that activate receptors can be classified as hormones, neurotransmitters, cytokines, and growth factors. But all of these are called receptor ligands. While many receptors are cell surface proteins, some are found inside cells. A number of transmembrane receptors for molecules that include peptide hormones and of intracellular receptors for steroid hormones exist, giving to a cell the ability to respond to a great number of hormonal and pharmacological stimuli. For several types of intracellular signaling molecules that are unable to permeate the hydrophobic due to their hydrophilic nature, the target receptor is expressed on the membrane. When such signaling molecule activates its receptor, the signal is carried into the cell usually by means of a second messenger such as CAMP. The external signal may enter a cell via four major pathways: hydrophobic molecules, ion channels, G protein, coupled receptors, extracellular signaling. Signaling molecules are released by signaling cells and the signal is called the ligand. The ligand binds to its specific receptor on a target cell. This ligand receptor interaction induces a conformational or shape change in the receptor and produces a specific response. This is called the cellular response, which can include a vast array of compounds. Example: small amino acid derivatives, small peptides, proteins, etc. Cell to cell communication by extracellular signaling usually involves six steps: synthesis of the signaling molecule by the signaling cells, release of the signaling molecule by the signaling cell, transport of the signal to the target cell, detection of the signal by a specific receptor protein receptor ligand specificity, a change in cellular metabolism, function and development leading to a cellular response triggered by the receptor ligands complex specific to the ligand receptor complex. Removal of the signal, which usually terminates the cellular response degradation of ligand. Extracellular signaling can occur over large distances or endocrine signaling. Signaling molecules are called hormones, which act on target cells distinct from their site of synthesis and are usually carried through the bloodstream. Short distance or endocrine signaling molecules are called hormones, which act on target cells distant from their site of synthesis and are usually carried through the short distance or paracrine signaling affects target cells within proximity to the cell that synthesizes the molecule and are usually mediated by neurotransmitters and some growth factors. No distance or autocrine signaling the signal feedback and affects itself. This is observed as the action of many growth factors. These compounds generally act on themselves to regulate proliferation and is seen frequently in tumor cells. Many compounds can act through two or even three types of cell signaling. Examples growth factors, that is EGF, which is paracrine and autocrine and endocrine, epinephrine, endocrine and paracrine. Now let's know about hormones and their receptors. Hormones are secreted by certain cells usually located in glands and travel either by simple diffusion or circulation in the bloodstream to specific target cells. As we shall see, some hormones are hormones bind to a specialized receptors on the plasma membrane and induce responses within the cell without themselves entering the target cell. Other hormones actually enter the target cell and interact with specific receptors there. By these mechanisms, hormones regulate the metabolic processes of various organs and tissues, facilitate and growth and control growth, differentiation, reproductive activities, learning and memory, and help the organism cope with changing conditions and stresses in its environment. Hormones are of two types, lipid soluble and water soluble. Let's know about lipid soluble hormone. Lipid soluble hormone can easily enter a cell by diffusing through the plasma membrane. They travel in the water based blood with the help of carrier proteins. These hormones then enter target cell where they result in a specific cellular effect or response. Steroids. They are the lipids derived from cholesterol in SER, which smooth endoplasmic reticulum, which have different functional groups attached to core of structure provide uniqueness. They interest with specific intracellular receptor to turn specific genes on or off and are effective for hours or days. Let's know about thyroid hormones. They are composed of tyrosine ring plus attached iodine and are lipid soluble. They can activate enzymes involved in the cytoplasm of fats and glucose and help set our basal metabolic rate. Retinoids. They are the vitamin A derivatives. They have dramatic effects on proliferation and differentiation plus cellular death. Example, apoptosis. Now, let's know about water soluble hormones. Water soluble hormone can easily travel within the blood. They are a cell and result in a cellular response by binding to specific cell surface receptors. This binding activates the receptor and results in a series of cellular events called the second messenger system. Let's know about amino acid derivatives, small peptides and protein hormones. They are the modified amino acid or amino acids put together. Example serotonin, melatonin, histamine and epinephrine. Now come to larger peptide hormones. These mainly include insulin and glucagon. Eicosanoids. Eicosanoids. They are derived from arachidonic acid, that means fatty acid, prostaglandins or leukotriene. Prostaglandins, despite being lipophilic, bind to cell-specific receptors. Hormones diffuses through the phospholipid bilayer and into cells. It binds to receptor, turning on or off specific genes. New mRNA is formed and directs synthesis of new proteins. This new protein in turn alters cells activity. These hormones cannot diffuse through plasma membrane. Hormone receptors are integral membrane proteins which act as first messenger. Receptor protein activates G protein in the membrane. This G protein activates adenylate cyclase to convert ATP to cAMP in the cytosol. Essential to the survival of every cell is to monitor the environment and to respond to external stimuli. For most cells, this includes appropriate communication with neighboring cells. Cell signaling involves signaling molecules. Let's know about signaling molecules. They are the molecules that are responsible for transmitting for information between cells in your body. The size, shape, and function of different types of signaling molecules can be vary greatly. Some carry signals over short distances while others transmit information over very long distances. Now come to process. First is process. All signaling molecules carry messages, but this is just one step in a larger process. Something must also receive this message as well as decode it for the receiving cell. This process of cell signaling is divided into three stages: signal receptor, signal transduction, and cellular response. First step, signal reception, is when the signaling molecule encounters a receptor. In the telephone game, this would be the person receiving your message. This step often occurs on the outside of the cell at the plasma membrane. A chemical signal is detected when the signaling molecule binds to the receptor, which changes the receptor shape and triggers the second step of the process. The transduction stage converts the received signal to a form that is more understandable by the cell, which allows the cell to respond appropriately. This stage is like a translation of the message from the signaling molecule to the cell. Transduction sometimes occurs as a single step, but more often requires a sequence of changes called a signal transduction pathway. The molecules in the pathway are called relay molecules, and each is modified as the signal moves down the pathway. In the final stage called response, the transduced signal finally triggers a specific response in the cell. The response may be almost any imaginable cellular activity, but most importantly, it ensures that the activities and processes occurring are happening in the correct cells at the correct time. Type. Let's know about types of signaling. Cells communicate by means of the extracellular signaling molecules that are produced and released by signaling cells. These molecules recognize and bind to receptors on the surface of target cells, where they cause a cellular response by means of a signal transduction pathway. Depending on the distance that the signaling molecule has to travel, so three types of signaling occurs. The endocrine signaling hormones. First is endocrine, paracrine, and autocrine. Three types of signaling. The endocrine signaling hormones are produced by an endocrine gland and sent through the bloodstream to distant cells. Hormones can be small lipophilic molecules that diffuse through the cell membrane to reach cytosolic or nuclear receptors. Examples are progesterone and testosterone, as well as thyroid hormones. They generally regulate transcription or water soluble molecules that bind to receptors on the plasma membrane. They are either proteins like insulin and glucagons or small charged molecules like histamine and epinephrine. Next is paracrine. In paracrine signaling, the signaling molecule affects only target cells in the proximity of the signaling cell. An example is the conduction of an electric signal from one nerve cell to another or to a muscle cell. In this case, signaling molecule is a neurotransmitter. In autocrine signaling cells respond to molecules they produce themselves. Examples include many growth factors, prostaglandins, lipophilic hormones that bind to membrane receptors are often used in paracrine and autocrine signaling. They generally modulate the effect of other hormones. Once a signaling molecule binds to its receptor, it causes a conformational change in it that results in a cellular response. The same ligand can bind to different receptors, causing different responses. On the other hand, different ligands binds to different receptors can produce the same cellular responses. Example, glucose and epinephrine. Now come to types of receptors. There are a number of receptor classes that are used in different signaling pathways. The two more predominant are the cell surface receptors. Now, each cell surface receptor has three main components. Let's know about these components. An external ligand binding domain, a hydrophobic membrane spanning region, and an intracellular domain inside the cell. The size and extent of each of these domains vary widely depending on the type of receptor. There are three general categories of the cell surface receptors: ion channel linked receptors, G protein linked receptors, and enzyme linked receptors. Ion channel linked receptors. Ion channel linked receptors bind a ligand and open a channel through the membrane that allows specific ions to pass through. In order to interact with the phospholipid fatty acid tails that form the center of the plasma membrane, many of the amino acids in the membrane spanning region are hydrophobic in nature. When a ligand binds to the extracellular region of the channel, there is a conformational change in the protein structure that allows ions such as sodium, calcium, magnesium, and hydrogen to pass through. G protein linked receptors. G protein linked receptors bind a ligand and activate a membrane protein called a G protein. The activated G protein then interacts with either an iron channel or an enzyme in the membrane. All G protein linked receptors have 7 transmembrane domains, but each receptor has its own specific extracellular domain and G protein binding site. Receptors. These are transmembrane proteins that wind 7 times back and forth through the plasma membrane. Humans have over 800 different GPCRS. Their ligand binding site is exposed outside the surface of the cell. Their effector site extends into the cytosol. Ligands. Some of the many ligands that alter gene expression by binding GPCRs. Protein and peptide hormones such as thyroid stimulating hormone and ACTH. Serotonin and GABA, which affect gene expression in addition to their role as neurotransmitters. Now come to mechanism. Let's know about the mechanism. The ligand binds to a site on the extracellular portion of the receptor. Binding of the ligand to the receptor activates a G protein associated with the cytoplasmic C terminal. This initiates the production of a second messenger. The most common of these are cyclic AMP, means CAMP, which is produced by adenyl cyclase from ATP and inositol 1,4,5 triphosphate IP3. The second messenger in turn initiates a series of intracellular events such as phosphoryl and phosphorylation and activation of enzymes, release of calcium Ca2 plus into the cytosol from stores within the endoplasmic reticulum. In the case of CAMP, these enzymatic changes activate the transcription factor CREB, CAMP response element binding protein. In short, CREB, bound to its response element 5' TGA CGTCA 3' in the promoters of genes that are able to respond to the ligand activated CREB creep turns to gene transcription. The cell begins to produce the appropriate gene product in response to signal it had received at its surface. In addition to their roles in affected gene expression, GPCR regulates many immediate effects within the cell that do not involve gene expression. Cell signaling using G protein linked receptor occurs as a cyclic series of events. Before the ligand binds, the inactivated G protein can bind to a newly rebelled site on the receptor specific for its binding. Once the G protein binds to the receptor, the resultant shape change activates the G protein, which releases GDP and picks up GTP. The subunits of the G protein then split into the alpha subunit and the beta subunit. One or both of these G protein fragments may be able to activate their proteins as a result. Later, the GTP on the active alpha subunit of the G protein is hydrolyzed to GDP and the beta subunit is deactivated. The subunits reassociate to form the inactive G protein and the cycle starts over. These receptors have a catalytic activity that is activated by binding of the ligand. An example are tyrosine kinase receptors. Binding of an often dimeric ligand induces dimerization of the receptors that leads to cross phosphorylation of the cytosolic domains and the phosphorylation of other proteins. Enzyme linked receptors. Let's know about enzyme linked receptors. Enzyme linked receptors are cell surface receptors with intracellular domains that are associated with an enzyme. When a ligand binds to the extracellular domain, a signal is transferred through the membrane and activates the enzyme, which sets off a chain of events within the cell that eventually leads to a response. An example of this type of enzyme-linked receptor is the tyrosine kinase receptor. The tyrosine kinase receptor transfers phosphate groups to tyrosine molecules. Signaling molecules bind to the extracellular domain of two nearby tyrosine kinase receptors, which then dimerize. Phosphates are then added to tyrosine residues on the intracellular domain of the receptors and can then transmit the signal to the next messenger within the cytoplasm. Let's know about the other conservative functions. The three main classes of intracellular signaling proteins are G proteins, GTPase, switch proteins. These proteins change between an active conformation when bound to GTP and an inactive conformation when bound to GDP. In the absence of a signal, they are bound to GDP. Signal results in the release of GDP and the binding of abundant GTP. After a short period of time, they hydrolyze GTP and come back to their off state. Protein kinases. Upon activation, they add phosphate groups to themselves and or other proteins at either serine or threonine or at tyrosine residues. Their activity can be regulated by second messengers interactions with other proteins or by phosphorylation itself. They are opposed by phosphatases that remove phosphate groups from specific phosphorylated proteins. Adapter proteins. Many signaling pathways require the formation of large protein complexes that are held together by adapter proteins. These proteins contain several specialized domains that act as docking sites for other proteins. G proteins and G protein coupled receptors. Heterotrimeric G proteins. GTP binding proteins are molecular switches that turn activities on and off. In their GTP bound state, they are activate and bind to specific proteins downstream, while in their GTP state they are inactivate. Associated proteins include pages activating proteins, guanine nucleotide exchange factors, and guanine nucleotide dissociation inhibitors. G protein coupled receptors. Many different mammalian cell surface receptors are coupled to a heterotrimeric signal transducing G protein covalently linked to a lipid in the membrane. Ligand binding activates the receptor, which activates the G protein, which activates an effector enzyme to generate an intracellular second messenger. All G protein coupled receptors, GPCRs, contain 7 membrane spanning regions with their N terminus on the exoplasmic phase and C terminus on the cytosolic phase. They are ligand specific and differ in their extracellular surface. GPCRs are involved in a range of signaling pathways, including light detection, odorant detection, and detection of certain hormones and neurotransmitters. 7 helix transmembrane receptors and heterotrimeric G proteins exist in different isoforms. Epinephrine binding to beta adrenergic receptors in cardiac muscle activates a GS that stimulates CAMP production, including muscle contraction. Its binding to the alpha adrenergic receptor in intestine activates a GI that inhibits CAMP, inducing muscle relaxation. Now come to activation of G protein by the receptor. Activation of the G protein by the receptor. Ligand binding changes the conformation of the receptor so that it binds the G protein. This in turn causes the exchange of GDP to GDP for GTP in the alpha subunit, switching it to the activated state. While a ligand is bound, it can activate many G protein molecules. Now come to relay of the signal to the effector. With bound GTP, G alpha dissociates from the G beta gamma complex and is able to bind to its effector molecule. Binding of G alpha causes the activation of the effector. The G beta gamma can in turn also activate downstream effectors. Come to ending the response. When GTP is hydrolyzed, the G alpha subunit rebinds to G beta gamma, returning the complex to its inactivated state. Although the G alpha generally has a low GTPase activity, this can be accelerated by interaction with its GAP protein. Now come to second messenger CMP. A second messenger is a substance that is released in the cytoplasm following activation of a receptor. It is non-specific and can generate a variety of responses in the cell. CAMP is an example. CAMP is synthesized by an integral membrane protein. Adenyl cyclase can be activated or inactivated by different G proteins following the binding of an inhibitory or stimulatory ligand to G protein coupled receptors. Now come to glucose mobilization. Glucose is stored in animal cells as glycogen, an insoluble polymer. The enzyme phosphorylase catalyzes glycogen breakdown while glycogen synthase catalyzes polymerization. Regulation is achieved by several hormones such as glucagon from the pancreas and epinephrine from the adrenal medulla. Binding of epinephrine or glucagon to their receptors activates adenyl cyclase. CAMP binds to the regulatory subunit of protein kinase A, pKa, causing the release of the catalytic subunit. pKa phosphorylates and inhibits glycogen synthase. pKa phosphorylates and activates phosphorylase kinase, which then phosphorylates and activates phosphorylase. pKa also translocates to the nucleus where it phosphorylates the transcription factor CREB. Phosphorylated CREB binds to the CRE enhancer, activates genes involved in gluconeogenesis.